Yo, what is up everyone, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video with your host Kenkukun, and we have the TWAB. Now, I just tried to record this video. It was 40 minutes long. I know people are not going to stick around for this, so I'm going to read this over, and I'm going to give you the TLDR. Alright, this is, a lot of changes are coming in 7.3.5. March 5th, that's next month, 2 to 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Alright, so, number 1. Threat Inspector is getting nerfed. It's getting the Ensnaring Slam cooldown. Alright? And they're going to try and balance it to where in PvE it's not hit as hard. They're giving it more damage in PvE. Alright, now, number 1. The Ensnaring Slam, right now, from my Marksman dodge and using Ensnaring Slam, the cooldown difference is 5 seconds. That is not enough. You throw that into the Checkmate Trials, I do not believe 15 extra seconds is just enough cooldown time. I don't. The Titan Shield, that gives you Overshield, there's an aspect for it. Well, Bastion, it is a triple time cooldown. For Overshield, buddy. Alright? So when your Titan Shield, if you look at the base cooldown of Titan Shield, and it says 1 minute and 11 seconds, and then you hover over Bastion the aspect, it has its own cooldown stated there. 3 minutes and 34 seconds, right? And that's not taking into account your resilience, right? It doesn't even say that on Ensnaring Slam, which is the slam that Strand Hunters use to suspend people. 5 seconds, I do not think is enough, right? And they're also making it easier for Threadlings to hit people. They reduce the base damage versus players from 40 to 35. Oh, and what's hilarious is they call it chip damage. Threadlings deal enough chip damage. Brother, it's not chip damage when all 3 hit me. And my guys, my game starts giving me the beeping warning that my shields are gone and my health bar is red. That's not chip damage. That's setting up for lethal, Chief. Alright, so the fact that this was even used is a joke. They weren't chain detonating properly, so when you shoot one, they're all, I guess, exploding and breaking things. And then they talk about a lot of other stuff that I just do not care about. It's not really too relevant. They talk about Wish Ender here. Wish Ender is getting a nerf. Where can I find? Vigilance Wind is getting a buff. There now has a deterministic recoil pattern. Vex Mytho class is getting changed. Wish Ender, though, is the big one. Wish Ender. True Sight will now deactivate if you leave ADS or hold it for longer than 3 seconds. Now, it obviously already left if you leave ADS, and if it didn't, that's a joke. To reactivate, you must fully redraw the bow. The nerf should have been thus. True Sight will now activate once per round in round-based modes, and once... that's it. Like, I don't care about anywhere else. It's just a problem in Trials. If they needed to do it somewhere else, then once per life, who cares? Whatever. You know, bows are already a pain to deal with, as they can just lane up and chill, right? So there's no... even without True Sight, there's no sneaking up on Wish Enders sometimes. In a good player's hand, it's not going to matter. So it should have been just... what Wish Ender allows people to do is find out when they're going to be peeking and shoot. But if they're just ADSing down there with Oath Keepers, this was nerfed with Oath Keepers in mind, brother. It's not just Oath Keepers that are the problem, it's just the bow in general. So that's whatever. I think the nerf should have been just can see through walls once per round. Just call it a day in Trials. In round-based game modes like Trials, right? I think that's fine. Heal Clip gets a buff, but I still think it's going to be doo-doo. There are other perks that are getting changed. I'm trying to see if anything really makes a difference. No. Then we have Sandbox. Now, let me read these points. The goals for the Sandbox changes, right? These are Crucible Sandbox. The goals: help players to more clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their deaths, so that they can more easily learn how to improve. Also, oh yeah, it says it right there. All right. Note that these changes are not applied to Mayhem, Momentum, and Checkmate, alright? So keep that in mind. Everything we read here has nothing to do with Checkmate Trials that's going to be coming. They retain their own custom modifiers. Checkmate has been retuned to be more representative of its original intended form, and there will be more info from that on the PvP Strike team next week. And I guess I'll cover a video for that too. This Checkmate is where Trials is going to be, and that's where it's going to matter the most. And it's probably going to be in the competitive playlist as well. It's probably going to hit there too. So I expect it to hit there, unless stated otherwise. So the goals for the sandbox changes help players to more clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their death, so that they can more easily learn how to improve. Alright? Alter the weapon sandbox to account, and that's number 1, so I'll refer to that as number 1 in a moment. Alter the weapon sandbox to account for an increased average skill of our player base by reducing the amount of high reward, low risk options. Encourage primary weapon mastery to be an aspirational pursuit for players. Now, the TLDR of this, and there was something very specific I wanted to read. Give me a moment. Alright, so one of the things I want to highlight here, because I wanted to make sure I highlighted it. So the TLDR of the help players to clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their deaths, the part 1, so that they can easily learn how to improve, is they're just pretty much making it longer to kill people and giving people more health. So they're giving them more time to react. That's fine. But I don't think that's going to matter too much to a good player. So again, but this is the sentence that matters the most right here. So let me read this. In large part, this is because a certain amount of forgiveness was baked into many primary weapons to allow players to utilize their full potential. For example, high reward weapons like precision SMGs or aggressive hand cannons only require 67% critical hits to achieve, which this is 2 headshots, 1 body shot for like my Igneous. Optimal time to kill, and Wish Ender allowing you to follow up bow swap with a body shot from a hand cannon. This leniency allows players to make mistakes but still benefit from the full strength of the playstyle, right? That made sense when the average player's skill was lower, but in the current ecosystem, a far larger number of players can take advantage of those benefits. This sentence right here, like, they talk about a lot of things right there, and they're like, that made sense when the average player skill was lower. But in the current ecosystem, a far larger number of players can take advantage of those benefits. Let me put this into perspective. This last weekend, I believe, was a record low for Trials players. People were coming in the chat and being like, hey, throughout the whole weekend, hey, Ken, you know there's only like 300 Trios teams playing? I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. There were like maybe 15,000 players playing this whole weekend. Record low. All right, record low. Let me read this sentence one more time in their words. That made sense when the average player skill was lower, but in the current ecosystem, a far larger number of players can take advantage of those benefits, right? Of making stronger plays that rewarded them without having the skill to back it up, right? That made sense when the average player skill was lower. Another way to look at this sentence is, that made sense when there were more players playing the game, right? So we had more players that didn't know what they were doing, right? It made sense when more players were playing the game. So if you take this sentence and all the bad players, let's say a lot of the players that are worse at PvP and they don't touch it, have left PvP, not even left the game, just left PvP, then the average player skill is going to look higher as an inflated number. All right? That's how I read that. So this doesn't address the root issue. Destiny 2 is a power fantasy for me, right? I play Destiny 2 because I want to be powerful and I want to do things, right? When you take away my special ammo economy, I don't feel as powerful, and I'm not trying to esports my way through this game. That's not what that game fell short of that. It didn't make the mark. All right, stop trying to revisit it. When you take away my abilities across the board, I have a problem. Nerfing things here and there, fine. Things that need to be put in line, absolutely I'm for. Things that just don't, like, they don't matter like that, or nerfing, having a blanket nerf across the whole game, doesn't sit well with me, and it seems lazy. To me, it seems lazy, right? So, and it takes away, that's right, it takes away from my power, right? Which, again, if I'm going to play just a pure shooter, Destiny has some good gunplay, man, but there are a lot better games out there. Or there are more games out there that could be more fun and reward my time more than Destiny 2 will. Going back to that. Now, I just like PvP in general, and I play PvP a lot. PvE, not so much, but PvP, I like it a lot, and that's really the one thing that keeps bringing me back to the game. Especially trials every weekend. Outside of that, though, I mean, the incentive should be reward-based, and they don't talk about that in the TWAB at all. I'm talking about exotic weapons, right? Exotic emotes. I want an exotic weapon in Trials Flawless chest. I want it to be the best PvP exotic weapon of its time, all right? And I want one to show up every season, bro, and put it in the chest, right? And don't remove the old ones. Just give them a slightly higher drop rate, right? Now, like, every season might be too soon for an exotic weapon, but at least once a year, and a long time ago, this should have been implemented. Now, it's far too late now, but once a year should have been implemented a long time ago. That's incentive reward, an exotic weapon tied to there. We go to the raids and get the exotics from there. I don't want to hear anyone bellyache or groan about having to go play trials and get the flawless chest and only have a chance for it to drop 3 times a week, just like the raid. Shut up. Just shut up, bro. Don't care. All right? Because that's what I'm told when I have to go play the raid to get that shotgun that freezes people in PvP. Oh well. Just go do the raid. They don't say, man, it sucks that you have to leave PvP to do this. No one says that to me. No sympathizers. So I don't want to hear any belly aching about what I just suggested. Number 2, animated emblems should have been put in the game, and they should have been put at the end of Grandmasters. There should be one for raids, and there should be one every season for trials. Simple. Done. Easy. Exotic emotes. Once a season for trials. Done. Incentivize with rewards and reward our time. Right? The weapons alone are not good enough because they cycle in 2 weapons at a time, and sometimes they're old recycled weapons. When those come in, I don't even look for new rolls. I really don't care. It doesn't matter. Because whatever I'm using, I probably don't need to adjust. My loadouts, my gun loadouts, shift few and far between in the history of Destiny. In Destiny 1, when the Mida came out, no other weapon took its place, bro. I had some of the best rolls on hand cannons that just sat in my vault, and I broke them out like once in a blue moon on Twilight Gap. That was the only map. And I sucked with them. And I sucked with shotguns. But I ran a Mida and Sniper in D1, and I rarely took that Mida off. I used it till the day the game died. And in Destiny 2, my weapons change sparsely. My meta changes sparsely. I rocked the Not Forgotten until they sunset it, and people would always ask me why. They'd send me hate mail, stop using that weapon. I mean, it was the best hand cannon in the game, so I used it, right? But when they came out with new things to use, I didn't go get it because I wanted to. I used what I had because it worked, right? That goes against Bungie's looter shooter. If nobody's looting because they already got things that are shooting, well, we gotta nerf those, right? Like that's always been their mentality, instead of just coming out with meaningful things. And I also think, getting off sidetrack. Anyway, too many weapons in the game, too many legendaries. It's just diluted and it makes a mess, and too many RPMs just makes it hard to balance. But yeah, like, they need the incentive. They need the player base to go up because they need an incentive for the stuff. Now let's scroll down. They're changing a bunch of damages, ability damage, supers, melees, and grenades. Now, this is all because they're giving player more health, right? So, again, how are we going to make players be able to feel like they have a chance and learn from their mistakes? Give them more time to process that. So, player health will be increased by 30 hit points in base Crucible. So, players have 100 health, up from 70, and 116 to 130 shields, depending on players' resilience values, right? And then they increase super damage, melees, and the arc flux grenade increase, right? Because I believe they still want that to one-shot people, I guess. So, they change weapons. They reduce bow base damage, SMGs, hand cannons. You're reduced for body shot damage. The flinch dealt by projectile impact by 12.5%. Explosive payload is getting a nerf as well for the flinch it delivers, which it needed. Crimson is also getting a nerf to its flinch. And now they're bringing in the special ammo economy that was in Checkmate to the rest of the game, which is earlier than expected. Kills 23, assists 10, death 10, control zones, right? Like, these are just stating all the values and what you need. Again, Checkmate, as far as I know, has nothing to do with any of these, obviously, and anything else that I've said. Now, this is one thing that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to pull up the Discord. Trace rifles are getting a buff, glaives getting a buff, heavy weapon archetypes. A lot of this stuff I don't care. Fighting Lion is getting a nerf. Devil's Ruin is getting nerf. Crimson, here's the Crimson flinch that I talked about. Forerunner is getting a buff versus Crucible players by 20%, versus players in Crucible by 20%, and Symmetry, Revolution damage first player in Crucible by 16%, which is an increase. So, let me talk about Discord real quick. So the special ammo, so this is, you know, someone in Discord, Demonic King, brought up the special ammo points. And I just pointed out that swapping from double primary weapons to special ammo will reset your special ammo meter progress. And I stated, I did not foresee the highlighted, but me telling people to not even think about using double primary in early rounds and switching to their special later is advice that would have paid off if people already put it into practice. I implored people, do not run double primary on my trial scene. Just do not. You're setting yourself up for a trap, and I didn't even foresee this as the trap. What I foresaw was Checkmate will come eventually, and you want to be ahead of the curve. You want to be good with one primary instead of crushing on two to cover all your bases. Just be proficient in one and learn the do's and don'ts of your ranges and your engagements and where you need to be and so on and so forth. Now with one, right? And then you're going to want special ammo. Why, Ken, why do you want special ammo in the game? Why are you kind of against this? Because special ammo is supposed to give players that have lower skill a chance to play. And if lower skill players have to rely on primary ammo, right? Special ammo gives players a chance against players that are better than them, all right? So Bungie's premise that just get better with your primary ammo, bro, isn't good, because better players are just going to stay better. And now if you can't outgun them with the primary ammo, now what hope do you have? Because now that's the only way to get to special ammo. You can't lose 4 rounds and then magically have 2 bullets. You can't always get assists and fully build that up. So I think that's a negative for pulling people into the game. And pulling people into the game mode specifically. That's why I'm against special ammo, all right? And I explain it here, you know, and we'll talk about it more. So he asked me, what are my thoughts? And I'm like, on the ammo economy, he's like, about the special ammo changes and Checkmate being added to the regular Crucible. This isn't truly Checkmate being added, but yeah, it's kind of the results of Checkmate, right? I think it'll be worse for the game. It's just another snowball mechanic that can just get out of control, and people will like PvP even less because of it. Some people jump into PvP for the first time, and they tried Checkmate Trials out for the first time this last weekend. They're like, oh, I like this. They like it for a little bit, but when they start struggling with their primary ammo, they're still in the same place, because the better players just are gonna outplay them, right? So again, I still think that this is going to be a problem, and this was not the answer. We needed to find a solution, but overhauling the foundation of the game, I think, was not the move. Checkmate hitting the game this early, though, was also unexpected, and I don't like it. That's, you know, I don't like that it's going to exist. Again, I think it goes against everything that the game is. It goes against the foundation of the game. I don't play Destiny 1 or 2 to not have supers and abilities at the very least. So that about Checkmate just uproots the whole of the foundation. The ammo economy is just like hitting December every year. We've turned this calendar in Destiny at least half a dozen times. Yeah, the ammo economy has changed at least 6 times in Destiny 1 and 2 total. Time will tell. I think some people that play the game mode for the first time and think it's great are not dying to special all the time, but those same people with the same skill are going to get beaten by players that are better at their primary game. This doesn't close the skill gap at all. It increases it. Less ability spam is only really a problem with Strand Hunter and usually Hunter in general because every melee is tied to dodge refresh if they want it, and it's the fastest cooldown ability in the game. If they were diligent, they wouldn't think they needed to overhaul the game in its final hours, being the final shape is coming upon us, and we're going to have about 1.5 years, right? A year and a half of content, like of upkeep. Once final shape comes out, but mark the calendars, a year, and that's done, right? And just focus on the specific problems in the Crucible. When I say that out loud, it just reinforces the idea. When I say that if they were diligent, they wouldn't think they needed to overhaul the game in its final hour and just focus on the specific problems in the Crucible. When I say that out loud, it just reinforces the idea that they need to blanket nerf across the board so they don't have to care/worry about Destiny, as they don't want to put many resources into it, making it seem even more clear that the game has only 1.5 years left in its cycle, right? So those are my thoughts on the update. That's my thoughts on the Crucible and what's going on with it, what's coming. When they talk about more Checkmate for next week, I'll cover that in a video too, sure. That's it. Let me know your thoughts below. Have you been enjoying Checkmate Trials? Did you play it? Did you like it? Did you find yourself without special ammo more than not? Like I mean, are just all above average players left out there? I don't know, because I've had some of my teammates shooting a wall in Trials this weekend. I've had plenty of games where I felt like Bungie has thrust bad players onto my team, and I'm supposed to shoulder that burden because, well, it's a team-based game mode. If you don't want bad players on your team, just queue up threes, and then it's just like, I don't want to play the Olympics if only 300 people are playing. I'm not a big fan. Even when the number wasn't that low, there was a weekend, like, within the season sometime, not long ago, I played one team 11 times with, like, one game in between, like, down the middle. It was, like, 6 games, 1, and then 5 games. 6 games of one team, and then a brand new team for, like, 1 game, and then 5 games of that other team. 11 times, bro. Come on, man. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. You shouldn't even be able to play the same team in a Trials card. Period. Win or lose. Just don't let it happen. How about we do that? Right? So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm very curious. Are you guys truly liking Checkmate? I feel like this is the honeymoon phase for people. It's something fresh, and it's going to get old quick. That's me. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your night, evening, morning, whatever it may be. Peace out. And I will see you all next time.